Hello and welcome back to Aetheral Space 17.50. Prisoners, we are back.
Fuck yes. And I think we should just jump right into it, shall we?
Absolutely. Shall
And it's
we?
definitely not because I couldn't think of a good opening bit to do.
I'm having a
We
very
used to.
happy life. Happy life, happy life.
Happy life,
I've been
happy
working
life.
out recently. I think the writing will have improved because I think there was a period of a bit of burnout recently, but I think I've come back.
Yeah, that's awesome to hear. I'm happy for it. Let's observe the fruits of your labors.
Let's
I hope
hope,
there's like
yeah,
80s typos. It's just like infinitely worse than
hopefully
odd
it's
jokes.
meatier. There's more meat
Hmm.
on the bones.
I like to chew my meat. All right, let's do
I'm sure you
it.
fucking do.
Day 4. Pax Telenosh walked through the machine of war. The final church had spared no effort in summoning Zepan. It was as
Surrounding it
if they
should be
built a city.
instantly.
Oh, the surrounding Zepan. It was as if they built a city of their own around it. A city of rifles and blades and missiles all aimed inwards. Flocks of automatics flew through the sky above. Even higher than that, a gallery of famous Final Church vessels hung in the atmosphere alongside the Alec Alexander and the Thinker's Comet. You didn't need to see the future to know that soon this place would drown in blood. So, Albin chirped, hands behind his head as they walked. What do you think? Pax glanced over at his fellow honest man. Albin Pentura wore the same white uniform as Pax, but that was where the similarities ended. Where Pax was stiff and formal, Albin was loose and relaxed. That, and Pax didn't have a massive bushy tail protruding from his back, swishes my big fucking fluffy tail. What do I think about what? Pax asked. He truly hadn't been listening, his mind focused on other matters. Albin's eyes flicked around furtively from above his scattered freckles, and, assured that none of the surrounding church personnel were listening, he leaned in. Toll, he said quietly. It's getting, pretty questionable, don't you think? Pax kept his gaze straight ahead. I don't know what you mean. Yeah, you do. Albin raised an unimpressed eyebrow. I'm not saying anything. I'm not saying anything. I'm just saying. Some of these tactical decisions, not looking so tactical here, boss. Have you heard the rumors? Yes, Pax thought. I'm sure you'll tell me all about it, Pax said. You've heard it. Albin swished his big fluffy tail dismissively. Everyone's heard it. Let me just make sure I'm understanding the situation correctly, okay? So we came here to get the Supreme. That was the whole point, right? Mm-hmm. Right. But now I'm hearing, and this isn't just from me, this is from loads of people, that suddenly giving up the Supreme is an option? Toll's just what, handing over our leader to the UAP? Is that even a decision he's allowed to make? Some might question, Pax said carefully, if a Supreme could still even be considered Supreme after such a public, devastating defeat. Albin shrugged. Hey, I'm Orthodox, man. So long as he's not dead, he's still Supreme as far as I'm concerned. He's so strange in many ways. I really like him. They cleared the blast boundary of the church's grand encampment, passing the flat cell no man's land that led right up to Zepon's barrier. If not for the floodlights pouring from the edge of the church's defensive line, the strip would have been pitch black. Don't forget to correct Zepan. Pax hardened his heart as he and Albin walked across it, moving out of the white light and into the red. The crimson wall of Zepan stretched up before them, a dome of blood that encased the entire city. The barrier was certainly nothing to scoff at, even if it didn't compare to the one the rebels had used at Elysian Fields. At any rate, it could certainly hold up against a sustained military assault for some time, and if the intel the final church had provided was true, they didn't have weeks to spare. That was where Pax came in. So, what are you trying to say? He tore his gaze away from the barrier to look at Albin. You're dancing around it, but just say it. Use your words. Whoa! Albin raised his hands in mock surrender. I'm not trying to say anything. Just passing stuff along, you know? You should talk to Zune and his guys. They'll give you some stuff to really think about. I won't waste my time with
So
stuff like
Hofan must
that.
be like,
Oh,
you
no!
should talk to Zune.
The hands went back up as if Pax had whipped out a gun. Okay, I get you, man, Albin said. Won't bring it up again. Just thought you might be interested in what the rank and file were thinking. I mean, I don't want to overstep, but you really should chill out, man. He flashed a cheeky grin. It isn't the end of the world. Pax glared at Albin from behind his mask as the squirrel scurrant disappeared back into the final church encampment. Honest men. The name in itself was a bad joke. Pax wasn't one to talk, given his true loyalties, but he had reason to doubt the integrity of nearly every soldier that had been put under his command. Hazard, too. Pax had his doubts there, though he would never voice them. Even if he did, Toll would not listen. It wasn't as if Pax didn't have his own doubts. Coming here with such a small force to begin with, submitting to the final church, acquiescing to the UAP, these were actions that did not necessarily align with the goals that Alexandrius Toll had voiced. Most likely that was because those goals were more personal and less logical than the Ascendant General would care to admit. That was fine, though. Pax turned back towards the barrier, eyes resolute behind his mask, and pulled free one of his black gloves. A ring decorated his index finger, a treasure of the Telenosh family, a small, clear crystal resting in the middle of the band. It was a fragmentary Lichtenberg, a trace remnant of one who had surrendered their body to the ravages of an aether burn. Such a small sample was limited in effectiveness, but hopefully it would give Pax just the boost he needed for this great work. He extended his palm out towards the barrier, smoke like aether drifting between his fingers. Pax didn't care why they were here. He didn't care what their mission would become. He didn't care if Toll even intended to have it tomorrow. Pax Telenosh's role was not to reason why. His role was to usher in Ragnarok. "Death marks," he whispered. "We are not the same kind of creature. My boredom can soon be sated, but yours will be with you until the end of time. Dark, fool dark, a black box in a black world. Any light that did leak into this tiny container was quickly devoured by the strings all around. It was as if the cell was a musical instrument, over-designed until it could play nothing at all. The prisoner, that which was Wu Ming, tossed a ball of those same strings up and down in the dark, all alone. No, not alone. Would he have preferred to be alone? How strange a thought. He was not the sort of person who wondered about himself, and yet he was doing it an awful lot lately. A great weight settled on a bench outside the cell. That weight, of course, was the ass of Alexandrius Toll. Wu Ming's strings could easily distinguish the tempo of his breathing. "Do you mind if I speak with you?" Toll asked, his voice Wu Ming's only companion. If he had joints, he would have cracked them. As it were, he had nothing, and so he did nothing. For a few seconds, he didn't even speak. Oh, what the hell, though? He'd throw the dog a bone. "Go ahead," he replied lightly, though he wasn't really feeling it. "People always say I'm a good listener." There was a moment of silence, blessed silence, before, "I fear I'm running out of mistakes I can make." Toll's voice was as heavy as his rear. Wu Ming cocked his head in the dark. "That's a funny way to phrase it," he said. "Your mistakes. You speak of them like they're chips to be cashed in. Have you been saving them up?" "Perhaps," Toll said. Through light, absent senses, Wu Ming detected a quiet nod. "Perhaps, I suppose, anyone saves up their clemency their entire life, hoping they never need it." "And you're on a spending spree." "I am." A long silence this time. "I've tied together many nooses that could be used against me by this point. I have my objectives, and I have the things I'm willing to surrender for them. The ratio is not equal. Far from it. Perhaps I've already surrendered things I should not have." Wu Ming rested his chin in his hands. "And now you're worried you won't get either," he whispered, devilishly soft. "Not your goals, nor the precious things you're trying to exchange for them." Toll took a deep breath, steeling himself. In the end, Alexandrius Toll was speaking only to Alexandrius Toll tonight. Wu Ming was nothing but an absent reflection. "I have done what I can," Toll said firmly. "I've made preparations to keep the knives out of my back for as long as possible. Should I succeed here, should I obtain my heart's desire, well, I'll leave it to that victorious Toll to rebuild with what remains." "A problem for another day!" Wu Ming let out a harsh, dry laugh. "How libertine of you!" Silence reigned again, but Wu Ming could feel it all the same. The slow turn of Toll's head communicated to his strings through sounds so minute that the silence ate them. Eyes without sight and sight without eyes, and he could spider knew all that occurred within his web. "What happened to you, man?" Toll asked. Wu Ming thought back. The flat stare of the King of Darkstar, his bemused voice, his honest words. "We are not the same kind of creature." and not long after that his encounter with his shadow, the black dog. To tell the truth, not much had happened to Wu Ming. Everything that had happened had taken place inside of him. "It's the same thing that happens to everyone," Wu Ming said, doubting it even as he did. "One day you find that the things that used to give you joy have, overnight, turned into burdens, unpleasant things to be processed, and with them, the you that felt that joy. They're drifting away too, and you worry that you'll never be able to find them again." He reached out with his index finger and crooked it, gently tugging on a single string, igniting it, creating the faintest illumination in the dark world. Wu Ming's tired eyes peered out from the abyss. "I had a dose of reality," he concluded sadly. "That's toxic for a thing like me." Gretchen Hale nibbled at a cracker. Her body was recovering more quickly than she'd expected. A few days ago, this would have just been bland matter, but now the simple meal on the desk before her was undeniably food. Food with taste. It was strange, though. Part of her, a good chunk in fact, felt like she shouldn't be the sort of creature to experience such a sensation, that she should be something else entirely. The doors outside the cell opened, and Gretchen looked up. She gazed through the viewing window without blinking. The visitor was no surprise to her. Morgan knocked. "I was wondering when you'd come," she said, voice flat. Morgan knocked didn't reply straight away. Instead, he stepped into the observation booth fully, letting the doors slip shut behind him as he inspected her lodgings. A simple bed, a simple desk, a simple toilet. A world of simplicity itself. He frowned, not finding something, and only then did he speak. "No Neverwire?" he asked. "I'm as surprised as you are," she replied. It really was the strangest thing. The barrier between herself and Ioneer Yggdrasil had broken down completely, the two sets of memories and thoughts fusing together. And yet, whatever she was now... What?
Whatever she was now.
And yet, whatever she was now, looked at Morgan Noct completely differently than either of them. Not love, nor hate. Was this apathy, then, or some strange kind of guilt? She no longer understood her own feelings. Perhaps the dueling passions of her components had clashed together and cancelled each other out. That was as good an explanation as any. "How did you get them to trust you?" Morgan Noct asked, wrist resting on the hilt of his blade as he took a seat. "Not intentionally," Gretchen answered. It was the truth. She'd been an incoherent mess when they'd captured her on the burning streets of Serendipity. After that, she'd been taken into observation. Whatever feverish mumblings, whatever delirious reveries had convinced tomfoolery of her sincerity, Gretchen wasn't privy to them. Of course, there was also the obvious answer. "Her ability," Gretchen began before correcting herself. "My ability, Ragnarok Forge. I can't exactly make weapons for your little team if I can't use my aether." Morgan Noct had taken little interest in her explanation. Instead, he perked up at that slip-up of hers. "I have to ask," he said quietly, "because I'm not sure I fully understand what happened to you. When we fought on Serendipity, I mean. Are you, in any way, are you Ioneer?" Gretchen took a deep breath. It was harder than it should have been. The words, too, were difficult to get out. "I am not," she said. A shroud fell over Morgan Noct's eyes. "I see," he replied. She left him there for a good few minutes, letting him navigate the labyrinth of his grief. His sword rested, forgotten by his side. Now his hands were clasped together as he hunched over in the chair, his eyes squeezed shut. Gretchen got the feeling that Morgan Noct could have stayed like that forever, but there wasn't enough forever left in the world. She rose from her bed. She broke the silence. "That girl, Luna," she said seriously. "She told me you'd come. I'm glad you did." Morgan Noct looked up, his eyes bloodshot, the sight twisting at Gretchen's heart. "Why?" he croaked. She swallowed through a throat that should have been a root. "I'm not Ioneer Yggdrasil," she said plainly, "but I'm not Gretchen Hale either. I'm something in between. Something that looks back at those two lives through a new set of eyes. There's something that part of me did that shouldn't ever have been done. I can't make it right, but I can make it better. I need your help to do that." "What?" Morgan Noct asked. "Help how?" Gretchen let out a long, trembling breath. I need you to help me deliver something to a toy Musashi. Can we leave him alone now? You're not even Gretchen anymore. Like, calm down. I need you to give him this luminescence. I need you to reset his brain. Would that even work? Would he just, like, go back to, like, Arc 1 Musashi?
Nah.
Oh, this poor boy. If you think this is bad, the dragon grinned, holding up the smoking stump of his arm, you ought to see the other guy. Well, girl. Oe and Songshu exchanged a glance. After Maxim's interrogation proved that permutation had been lost, Pandershi had called all their forces back to Oberon to prepare for the impending attack. For the time being, Blaine and Musashi's group were to be considered irrelevancies. Oe supposed it made sense. Trapped in the city ring as they were, it wasn't like they could really do anything even if they tried. The dragon might have disagreed with that, though. After all, he'd returned from the city ring with half the arms and double the grin. Apparently, his final clash with Ruth Blaine had been quite the destructive thing. After losing custody of that aetherless girl herself, Oe would have been only too happy to take a load off. But technically, she and Songshu were still assigned as the dragon's guards. That was how they'd ended up watching him sit on the bed in his cell, chattering away as a medical automatic applied panacea to his lost limb. Gotta say, I'm kinda surprised. Songshu crossed her arms as she watched Panacea fill the mold. You seem like the kind who'd get salty after he lost. At that, the dragon pouted. I didn't lose, he said. Oh, there it is, Oe muttered. The dragon turned his head towards the ceiling, a dreamy look in his eyes. It was a draw, he breathed. That's a beautiful thing, you know. To find someone who denies everything you are and actually has the power to put their money where their mouth is. That's interesting. That's very, very interesting. Ah, Ruth Blaine, right?
What do you two think?
Photon readings negative. Songshu mimed gagging, and even Oe had to grimace a little. The expression this man was making when discussing an enemy who tried to kill him, well, it was just a little bit grotesque. She did her best to keep her eyes fixated on the dragon's face. He snapped back down, seemingly realizing how he'd been coming off. Oh, don't get me wrong, he laughed cheerfully. I'm only interested in her body. Not in like a straight way, though. Still, it's a rare thing to find a worthy opponent who can actually kill you. He turned back towards the ceiling, his reverie resuming. Whatever the look on his face was, it certainly didn't look platonic. Oe suppressed a shudder. Round 2. He murmured, lips barely moving. I wonder when that'll be. Oh, I can't wait. I can't wait. Songshu looked down at him, her brow furrowed. I kinda get it, to be honest, but how the hell have you survived so long? The dragon grinned, his head still fixed towards the ceiling. His hand tightened into a fist, clutching the bedsheets with a vice-like grip. Slowly he raised his other arm, still taking shape from the panacea, and brought a fledgling finger to his lips. Force a will, baby. Force a will, he said softly. And a bit of luck. Don't you worry about me, short stack. His grin widened further than ever, so wide Oe thought his lips would split. I'm pretty sure I'm the luckiest variant in this place, anyway. 1 sec.
No problem.
Sorry, I'm getting to be afternoon sleepies.
People need to sleep all the time.
It's true, they do. Your crimes are myriad, variant. Zephyr Pandershi's smug voice, a feminine timbre from this extension, echoed through the detainment complex. Narari Hyun listened, unimpressed, as the glass bubble housing it was slowly lifted into the air. Every extremity was restrained. Aether was sealed away by Neverwire rods piercing its flesh. The only freedom permitted to it were its eyes. It was free to look around the massive cylindrical chamber, to glance around at the countless other bubbles lining the walls, to even close its eyes if it wanted to. Its ears, unfortunately, were granted no such liberty. Rampant destruction in Ward 1, Zephyr Pandershi went on, her silhouette visible against the strip of blinding light at the top of the room. Theft of a vital research artifact, and, perhaps most gravely, the murder of our Sealy Ranger's beloved vice commander. As the one who created your physical body, I despair for your conduct, variant. Huh, Nararion said, looking up at the distant figure. Funny, I don't actually remember that last one. All of you little people look basically the same, though, so I won't deny it. Pandershi chuckled. I'm glad you're keeping your spirits up. Should I not be? Nararion just barely managed to raise a silver eyebrow. As far as I'm concerned, the fact that I'm alive at all is cause for celebration. Most likely there were two main reasons why Pandershi hadn't just let Maxim execute it out in the city ring. The first was undoubtedly the permutation ritual. The more variants Pandershi had control of, the better he could determine when and if the ritual ended. And the second? Where is permutation? Pandershi asked, her voice cold. There it was. No idea, Nararion answered honestly. If I had it, do you really think I would have ended up here? Believe me, I have plans for that sword. Nararion saw the distant silhouette put a hand to her chin. Your nature as an anomaly does interest me, she conceded. A Dragon Hadrian that is not Dragon Hadrian, devouring its fellow variants, becoming a shifting Gestalt consciousness as the ritual proceeds. Although, given how much of him you've absorbed by this point, couldn't we say that you're more Dragon Hadrian than even the genuine article? Nararion said nothing. The thought was vile. What remained of Dragoon de Fleur would not permit engaging with it. At any rate, Pandershi clasped her hands behind her back, powering through the silence. That interest in you is purely personal. Right now, professionally, all you are to me is a body I need to pull answers from. Nararion rolled
You're
his
just
eyes.
pawns to me.
You're just pawns to me, Nararion. Siri, call my pawns. I told you, I have no idea
Siri,
what
call my
permutation
extensions.
is now. Don't you have a lie detector or something in this thing? We do, Pandershi replied casually, and it's saying your words are honest. But I followed the chain of hands. You took permutation from that final church variant, didn't you? And then it was taken from you. Who did that, I wonder? There was no benefit in hiding it. The captain's salvaged instincts told Nararion that cooperation was the play, at least for the time being. Someone from the final church, Nararion answered. The real final church, not another variant. Probably from the Quiet Choir. He had some kind of transformation ability, different forms for different purposes. He used a decoy to run away with the sword. Happy? The light shining on Nararion's exposed body grew even harsher as Pandershi considered its words. Honest, 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 she said in a sing-song voice, and yet I feel it's not the whole story. It's the whole story as I saw it, Nararion muttered with the contempt of Don Hadrian. As you saw it, Pandershi echoed. That's really the crux of it, isn't it? That's all that you saw, but perhaps not all that you witnessed. Things you saw without seeing, heard without hearing, all those little raindrops that collect at the back of your skull. I feel like that's where I'll find the trail I'm looking for. There was an undercurrent of sickly glee in her voice now. That's how I'll get my permutation back. All around Nararion's bubble, implements were rising into view, suspended on spindly mechanical limbs. All the usual suspects, but many didn't recognize, too. It seemed that torture was another science Zephyr Pandershi had devoted himself to. Ah, shit. Well, it was as if Nararion hadn't expected this. It braced itself as hell closed in on all sides. So long as it survived, it would win. It had that resolve, and below it a mantra. The only one who decides what happens to me is me. Wow. Maybe it really is more Dragon than whatever entity took over.
It wasn't much to it to begin with, and then it devoured the consciousness of 3 Dragons.
The fucking Dragon fingers. I'd say you're about as strong as 3 or 4 variants on a good day.
How strong would you say I am in terms of Ruthbone's fingers?
Alright, we've got some Aether questions probably, right?
I assume so. I hope so.
I hope so as well. Let's take a look.
Yes, we do. Oh my god. Quite a few.
We don't.
Yes, we fucking do.
Oh, someone put the wrong symbol on Land's question. I got confused. MT asks, swimming and string theory, wormhole that he used to teleport if I recall correctly. 1. Can Der Freishoot / Curse Hand be used in Silencio? 2. Can it be used on Silencio from outside the zone or inside the zone?
I would say no to the first, yes to the second.
Sorry, I swear it's not anything. I'm just not well rested. Lan asks, what was Erica like before the SED shut down? Were her abilities the same?
She was more cheerful and had more of a personality beyond self-aggrandizement and sort of resolve. She wasn't a Sigma female at that point. Her abilities were the same though.
Damn.
She used those to lock in and become an Erica female.
Weiser asks, what would Cadman's absolution look like if he had one?
You skipped a question. That was so mean.
Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to. Stift asks, what is the most complex ability we have seen? Was it innate? Was it created? And if it was created, how long did it take?
It depends. I would. It's hard to say because I don't remember. Obviously,
we know Prince was made convolutedly. We know Isabella's was kind of.
No, yeah, the Prince is based like an AI made from Aether. Yeah.
Well, I also meant Prince Palisadium Palace, whatever the fuck.
Oh yeah, that was more complicated than it needed to
like
be. Yeah.
Spaghetti code. Yeah.
Exactly that. That was the whole point. Yeah. It's hard to say the most complex. That's really hard to say. The Prince is definitely in the top 5, I would say.
If it would be an innate or a created ability?
It would have to be a created for complexity, sheer complexity.
Oh, the Dragons is probably up there, right?
Oh, yeah. That's intentionally.
This fucking stupid bullshit.
Yeah,
we just forgot about it because he uses
absolution farming.
Yeah. I can't wait for it to come up again, and it'll be like in Undertale when they want you to remember the Snowden puzzle. Yeah. He's like, you were paying attention when I explained my chakras, right?
The humours, right? The chakras and also humours involved. The time of day has an impact.
I remember there was like 5 varieties. Yeah, it was just the fucking
the flavours. There were the flavours, yeah. And you had to like cycle them between different areas in different orders to get different results.
It's probably safe to say that's the most complex one we've
seen.
Yeah,
because that is intentionally setting out to be as convoluted as possible.
Why
he was still doing shit with it as well, though.
Yeah, he was cooking. Weiser asks, what would Cadman's absolution look like if he had one?
A kaiju.
Oh.
The armor would be so big that it's like Godzilla.
Yeah, because his ability is like any other ability, and then he would have the ability to seal any other ability. Yeah. That's crazy. Weiser. Oh yeah, Rock Shark asks, 1. How intricate and accurate is Divine Hindsight in comparison to permutation?
I would say Divine Hindsight is a very like specialized and individual target. Like it's like doing permutation things like manually.
Who has Divine Hindsight again? What's that?
If I'm remembering my own story correctly, that was Helis Audrey's actual ability. She like through physical content, she can like alter your past basically.
Oh yeah.
Not actually time editing, but like your subjective past.
And then 2, Rockshark asks, how much control does Helis Audrey have in altering someone's history? Can she make something impossible happen in the simulated history? Example, having Helis Audrey herself meet someone when she's already doing something else somewhere else?
As a result, she has control over that individual's actions in the past. So she can't decide that in the history someone else did something different. She would have to like come up with a butterfly effect to have that happen.
Interesting. Alright, let's seal it there for now and save some for next time, but thank you all for watching.
Yeah.
Bye!
Bye!